Hey, let's talk driving. I won a special place on a course a few years back. Only a very select few people were invited. And it was a course for people who'd broken the law whilst going too fast on the road. So I turned up with a load of guys. It was mainly me and like 20 guys who drive white vans. And the police officer asked us to tell each other why we were here. And, a lot of the guys declined the opportunity to take ownership of why the mistake they'd made so they could reflect and move on. And they were saying things like, oh, the road signs have changed. I was in a rush. I had a heart in the car for a heart transplant. And they didn't. And I said, if I'm going to be I was on a road that I didn't even know what the speed limit was on. And if I'm going to be driving a 2-ton killing machine with my own kids in the back, I want to do that to the best of my ability. I was the odd one out in the class. And it's an interesting mindset. And it reminds me of this picture. This picture was a poster by NHS Collaborate, a group of leaders in the NHS who are revolutionising the NHS from the inside out. They take other leaders away into conferences like to the Tate Museum, the Tate Art Gallery in London. And they talk about vulnerable leadership, courageous leadership, knowing your purpose, listening, being able to reframe and make mistakes, being a positive disruptor. And this poster was one they chose to use. And I love it because I'm at the front driving a 4-ton killing machine, which is clear evidence that I can be trusted now. But this is a conversation I have with one of my great friends, Serena Bolton, a lot. Who is driving your bus? Now, when resourceful Jazz is driving the bus, it's all good. I'm driving to new places, picking people up, dropping people off, having chats, honking the horn, shouting at everyone to sit down, living the dream. But sometimes resourceful Jazz doesn't show up. And so Serena and I talk about our younger selves, and 8-year-old Jazz is in charge of the bus. I literally hand over a 4-ton killing machine to a vulnerable, scared 8-year-old who doesn't feel that she's valuable and has good reason to be terrified. And when that sort of child, when that sort of person is driving your bus, people are going to get hurt. And Serena talks about, she's been great because she's noticed more quicker than I do when 8-year-old Jazz is driving the bus. And she says to me, you need to take little Jazz, put her at the back of the bus, cover her up in a snuggly blanket, give her some hot chocolate and say, it's okay. I'm here. You're safe. I'm driving the bus. And it's, Serena talks about her teenage self. When my teenage self takes the bus, my teenage self is incredibly bombastic and doesn't need to read the road signs because she knows better. Again, people get hurt. So, but how do we keep our most resourceful self in that driving seat? How do we protect that? And we do it by filling the bus with awesome, phenomenal people. We don't have, as Serena calls it, the shitty committee who sit at the back of your bus and start shouting stuff like, oh, you're a crap driver. Who do you think you are? You can't do this. You're rubbish. And remind you of failures from your past. They are taking up spaces that could be sat in by people who love you and hold you and challenge you and don't carry you over obstacles, but believe you already have the answers inside and help you draw them out. Those are the people you need on your bus. Who are they? What do they look like? What list? Make a list of them. Who do you already have on your bus? Who can you take on these amazing journeys and have behind you, not just encouraging you, but calling you out because they love you enough to tell you the truth about you? So that when your limiting language and limiting behaviour and limiting mindsets take over, they can say, hey, you say you can't. What would it look like if you could? You say you don't. What would it look like if you did? What do you need? How can I help? That's who we need to fill the bus with. And so I just want to encourage you, first of all, to consider which age you is driving the bus and make it the most resourceful age. Like this one here, the resourceful you. And secondly, to decide who's on your bus, who you've got already and who you need. I don't know what I've done, but I have managed to get the most amazing people as friends and on my bus. And you know what happens? Sometimes they're on the bus and I make them all go sit upstairs so they can't see me crying into the steering wheel, which is incredibly stupid because they're there to support me. And I try and do it all myself and make my own decisions because I know better. It's my teenager is driving the bus again. But when it's me, when it's like 47-year-old Jazz, suddenly I have more agency and resource than I ever thought was possible. And I'm constantly overwhelmed that other people would care enough to stand shoulder to shoulder with me. So who's driving your bus? That's my question for International World Mental Health Day 2018.